Thank you for staying with News Central. Now, exposure to air pollution ranks as the second leading risk factor for death in Africa, with up to 1.1 million premature deaths annually attributed to it. Egypt, Nigeria, and South Africa consistently exhibit large disease burdens, with fossil fuel air pollution identified as a major contributor. These are among the key findings of a recent report titled Major Air Polluters in Africa Unmasked, jointly prepared by Greenpeace Africa and Greenpeace MENA, that's Middle East and North Africa. It sheds light on the pervasive issue of air pollution across the African continent and draws attention to the human health implications. A member of the Population Health Research Group at the University of Yaounde, Cameroon, Felix Assah, identified cardiovascular and respiratory ailments along with cancer as some of the offshoots of air pollution. Dr. Adin Farrow, senior scientist at the Greenpeace Research Laboratories, highlighted the severity of the crisis, stating, and I'm trying to quote, "In many parts of Africa, a lack of air quality monitoring has allowed pollution to remain hidden. However, there is abundant evidence that African nations face a serious public health crisis from air pollution," and off quote. To take a look at this development, I'm joined by the Project and HSE Director at Black Rose Group, Evans King. Thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you.
All right, let's start with just whether you concur with the equation that urban air pollution in Africa is a public health crisis.
Yeah, thank you so much for inviting me for this program. I will definitely define this as a major health issues or challenge, in Africa. Anything that has been ranked as the second most contributing factor to untimely death in Africa should be taken as being very significant. Therefore, air pollution is a very serious issue and should be tackled accordingly.
What are the major sources of air pollution in African cities? A few of them has been identified. One major one is fossil fuel. What others are there?
Yeah, for urban areas in Africa, I think based on the research carried out by Greenpeace Africa, Nigeria, Egypt, and South Africa they've been identified as the major countries where you have cities with high air pollutions. And some of these, some of the things identified are vehicular pollutions from exhaust of vehicles. And looking at Nigerian situation with where you hardly have 24 hours of power supply, and people, running their own private generators, power generators, trying to generate electricity. That alone also is a major factor, in contributing to air pollution, especially in urban areas.
One of the researchers that I mentioned in my introduction had concerns about the implication for the health of the African population. Could you highlight for us some of these? The impact air pollution has on the health of the population?
Yes, it's rather unfortunate that a lot of people do not take air pollution into consideration. I think a major factor that has made this, contributed to this is as a result of our inability to be able to track, to measure, to monitor air pollution in urban areas in Africa. And so some of the health challenges as a result of air pollution, just as you have mentioned, comes with cardiovascular diseases, even cancer, as a result of air pollution. And I would say these are major, anything that has to do with breathing and all that. It's something that needs to be taken into consideration, especially when it comes to air pollution.
You said we've been unable to track air quality, right?
Yes.
Why do you think that is the case for us here in Africa?
I think it's because we've not taken it as a priority. We've not really taken it as a major factor that brings about premature death.
Well, who should be championing this cause?
I think it has to do with the government because not just the government, including organizations, companies, especially that produce these pollutions like power plants. I would say they should also be part of the large, organization that should be looking into tracking and monitoring these pollutions, and even recording and saying exactly the impacts of what this pollution can actually create or cause in the lives of people dwelling in the urban areas.
But it is in the best interest of governments to take this seriously, because there are some economic consequences of air pollution.
Exactly. Yes. For example, like what you just said, talked about now, economic implication. Imagine you are losing out on your, how will I call it now, your work team, your workforce, due to air pollution, diseases, like I mentioned, cardiovascular disease and all that, cancer, and a lot of people dying as a result of this pollution. And people are being hospitalized. It costs a lot, in terms of families, breadwinners, who are, supposed to, to work and earn some money to take care of their families. It becomes a very big problem when you're looking at family level, and also at government level. Hospitals being filled with people having health challenges due to air pollution, and the cost of medications and all that. It's actually a major factor.
Are there any successful examples of interventions and initiatives that are helping reduce air pollution in African cities? You could maybe one African city that's doing something that you think can be replicated?
Yeah, I think Lagos State has been very good with this metro system. The metro system is being driven by electrical system, and not burning of fossil fuel, and it helps in mass transit movement of people. So rather than you taking your vehicle, driving your vehicle to work and all that, you can opt to go on the metro, and as Lagos State government continues to develop these metros and encourage more and more people to make use of this metro, it reduces actually the number of vehicles that you find on the roads. It's a major way of cutting down on this air pollution, especially in urban areas.
But not all African cities are able to achieve the feat that Lagos State has, and not every state in Nigeria has been able to achieve that. So are there maybe other cost-effective or should I say the use of technology, perhaps?
Yes. I wanted to go into renewable energy. It's one major way of cutting down on air pollution, rather than power plants being dependent on fossil fuel. We can actually start, investing in renewable energy, like solar power systems, where there is nothing like pollution or emission into the atmosphere. And there are some cities also whereby you are not allowed to drive your vehicle maybe into the city center, and it actually costs a lot to take your vehicle in there. Cycling, using bicycles and all that to move around is being encouraged. I know of some places in South Africa that is being encouraged. So I think these are ways whereby we can actually cut down on air pollution.
Okay, I want to go back to the concern you had about why we're still where we are, and that's our inability to track air quality. Are there efforts being made to improve on this that you're aware of?
Yes, I'm aware of, I think last year where there was a conference in Cameroon, where a lot of concerned individuals and organizations came together to see how this can be achieved, how it can be tracked, can be monitored. It can air pollution can be tracked, can be monitored. So not just tracking and monitoring, but actually reporting and finding a way of mitigating against the the effect of air pollution. I would like to add at the last COP 28 in Dubai, the president Bola Ahmed Tinubu did made a commitment when he said about 1,000 electric buses have been procured for transportation system. It's the way to go. Electric vehicles, we should gradually be moving into that part of the of activity, because the world is gradually moving, and there was a commitment made that by 2050, 2030, 2050, there will be a total, what I call zero carbon being generated. So Nigeria and African countries should also be transiting and away, from systems that actually bring about air pollution.
Technology and innovation is is the phrase that keeps coming up when we talk about addressing air pollution in Africa. And we know that there are some local innovations like the one we have in Kenya's Makerere University, Dio Okure. He talked about, he developed rather, a local air monitoring system in 2015 that is said to be cheap but effective. But he also went on to say that although technology provides important data, it is insufficient because it cannot yet clearly identify the sources of air pollution. So I want you to just talk to us generally about the importance of data and the change that we're seeking in the quality of air that we take in.
Yeah, thank you so much. What was developed in Kenya, I would say it's a kind of a pilot project. However, for such to be successful, there would need to be a mass production of such monitors, or rather I would call monitoring equipment. And not just mass production, but also being able to apply them where necessary, and training people on how to use this, and actually take enough data that you now be able to enough data for you to be able to how do I put it now? For you to be able to access, for you to be able to look at, before now, coming to a conclusion about areas where these pollutions this air pollution are concentrated in, and what needs to be done about this area. I quite agree with what has been done, and I think that's the way to go. And we should actually mass produce this and train people on how to use this, and train people on how to report. And also not just reporting, and put in place systems that can militate against this pollution.
Okay, so I wanted us to talk a little more on sustainable transport solutions, but you've referenced the case of Lagos. So I'll just move on and ask you a broader one, and that has to do with urban planning and the impact, how this urban planning and design contribute to reducing air pollution in the cities. How can we, maximize this as one way to reduce air pollution? I mean, we know of slums even in the cities. We know of ineffectual planning and all of that.
Yeah, thank you so much. The main issue with urban planning has to do with the population. If I take Lagos as an example, imagine the number of people that enter Lagos daily. Why do they come to Lagos? Because they believe that getting to Lagos, they'll be able to, find a means, when I say economic, means to be able to fend for themselves and for their families. Now, if Lagos is busy, doing something about urban development, maybe putting in place housing units and all that will accommodate people, other states should also, do something, similar so as to reduce the migration from states from other states to Lagos. Right now, I can tell you that Lagos facility or Lagos infrastructure is being overwhelmed because of the population, and Lagos State, as an example, is really trying to ensure that urban, how do I put it now, development in terms of housing, in terms of electrification and all that are properly put in place so as to reduce this pollution, like I mentioned the other time, the metro,
One other effort to reduce this is citizen engagement and awareness raising campaign. But what are we campaigning about that way? What are we engaging the citizens on as a way to help reduce urban pollution, in your view?
I think it's the awareness of what causes or what brings about pollution, especially air pollution. A lot of people are still not well educated in terms of knowing exactly the impact of this air pollution. I think open air burning of waste and all that by individuals, by people in the urban area should be discouraged. Rather, as the waste management system that we have in place, moving waste to incinerators where they are, completely, consumed and all that should be the way forward. And then people needs to be trained to know. The awareness that this what we refer to as air pollution is actually very dangerous, to human health. I think it's the awareness, the education needs to be, encouraged.
On a broader scale, are there any regional or continental collaborations to address air pollution in African cities? I mean, people in the field of clean energy and all of that. Are you aware of that? For any collaboration, really?
Yes, there's a collaboration right now. A lot is being considered in terms of. I think there was a conference in Kenya sometime last year, whereby people came together to say, okay, what can we do about this air pollution? What are the new technologies that we can, put in place to reduce this air pollution? And a lot of things were being introduced. For example. I was opportune to attend a conference on what we call the green hydrogen. Using hydrogen as a source of fuel for auto vehicles, for vehicles and all that. So I think there's a lot that is ongoing. Even in Egypt also, we had conference there whereby a lot has been discussed. And actually, I'm not really concerned about the conferences. I'm more particular about the implementation. What can be done? What are the quick wins? What are the things that can be done right now to actually reduce this pollution? Because every day it keeps rising, and I see this as a major issue in urban African countries.
All right, I'm told we have less than 2 minutes. What is the outlook for the future in terms of reducing urban air pollution, not just in Nigeria now, but in Africa?
I think we can't run away from it. The world is fast moving away from fossil fuel, and we have no choice than to move also. It's rather unfortunate that we do have gas, reserved in Nigeria. We have Nigeria is a country that produces crude oil and all that. And what are we going to do in the next, 20 years, 30 years, with this crude oil, with this gas reserve and all that? The world is fast moving away from all this. So I think that with time, we'll also have to, there will be major investments in renewable, and that will, cut down on air pollution.
We certainly look forward to a time when we don't have to worry about the quality of air that we inhale into our bodies. Thank you very much for speaking with us, Evans.
Thank you so much. Thank you for inviting me.
All right, and that's where we wrap things up today. Thank you for watching. If the conversation interests you, please follow us on social media for updates and tune in again next week, Tuesday, 5 p.m. I'll be here. Thanks for watching. Have a good day.